Greg here with GVSoutdoors. Welcome to the lake again. We're going to go out and do a little bit of fishing tonight. We're at Smith Mountain Lake on the Roanoke River section. I am ready to go. As you can see, I'm wearing my personal flotation device, which is required equipment. If you're going to be boating, well, pretty well anywhere, you need to have it in the boat. I'm going to wear it as we're headed up the river, and you can also see I have my other piece of required safety equipment, my lanyard there with a safety stop switch. So I am out here. I have all of that. I've got fishing poles and I think everything we should need. There's a bunch of bait in the water tonight, so we're going to start off doing a little bit of jig fishing for crappie. Once we have a few of them in the boat, if we can find them, I'll probably catch some shad and go do a little live bait fishing and see what we can turn up. So should be a fun night. Come on along with me and let's see what we can get into. Well, we're out here, and as usual, things don't go exactly as you plan, but I got out here late. Actually, I was supposed to come out here last night. I was planning on it to do a little bit of fishing. We had a gorgeous day for it, and figured yeah, that's a sure thing. We ought to come out and do a little fishing. And I bought a new truck this week, so I missed my day off. I spent my day off getting that squared away and on the road, and so no fishing there. But I knew I'd get out later in the week maybe, and planned on it, and hooked the boat up to the trailer and spent the rest of the night, hooked the trailer up to the truck and spent the rest of the night fooling with my trailer lights. So anybody who's ever had a boat knows that's just kind of par for the course when you have a boat. Trailer lights got fixed, and tonight is the night to do a little fishing. It looks like it got a little bit overcast kind of as soon as I launched, and before I go too far, this is a predictable spot. And the last couple of videos I did a bit of fishing here and caught crappie, so not to make this video just like the rest of them, but I don't want to go too far because this guy looks a little angry right now, and I just want to make sure I'm not going to have to run right back if we get a little bit of weather. So we'll start here and see what we can turn up. Here, folks, looks like a decent size crappie. Yep, I'd take that. I'd take that every day of the week. I want to apologize too. Any of you who've watched both of the videos that we've got out, or I guess I have 3 of them now, but that last video was really not good as far as my camera work. But this is a new thing for me, and I'm trying to do it the best I can, and I don't charge extra for mistakes, so y'all just come along with me and be patient with me. I appreciate all the ones of you that subscribed between the last couple of times. That's been a big help for the channel. I do appreciate it, and I promise you, I'm committed to making this better than what it is. I sort of don't understand. In a river system here, and there are stumps and all kinds of stuff. It's a little scary to me. Running a boat at 75 miles an hour through those stumps is even scarier. So, I don't know. We're into July now. It's the warm part of the summer, and it's starting to show. The surface temp of the water is 86 degrees, as you can see from the screen of my fish finder there. It warms up pretty quick. This is just a mud flat. It does drop off. I'm sitting kind of on the shoulder of the... There's one. That's a pretty good one, actually. Yeah. Just mean, I think. He's not all that big. Not bad. We'll throw them in a box, and a couple of these might end up getting culled as per usual. I keep a meal's worth of the biggest ones I've got. So what I was saying is we're into the heat of the summer. They're starting to be a little slower on the bite, but as we've already proved, and all of that. You can find them. You just got to know where to go, and you got to be patient. And when you find them, they're going to be in predictable spots. They may not be, there's another one. They may not be just everywhere you try, but if you look for them, you'll find them. That's a bluegill. That's a nasty little bluegill. He was excited. But yeah, we're up here on the shoulder of the channel, kind of. The fish finder there says 7 foot of water, but we're just on this little mud flat, and the channel breaks off over here, and it goes into about 25 foot, something like that. And we're kind of right on the edge of that, fishing where it breaks. It's nice because you can watch the schools of shad. You can see a couple of them out there, just little ones. The schools of shad will come up and down the channel, and everything else that eats shad will use that channel kind of like a highway. So I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm fishing with braided line. I have never one time done that. In fact, I've resisted the urge to do it a few times. Most of you know, if you've watched any of the videos, I fish really, really light tackle. In fact, in some situations, probably lighter than I should, but I really like that, and I don't break off a lot of fish. So I think it's taught me just to take my time and not to hurry things, and really let the fish wear themselves out when I get big ones. And it's 8-pound braid. But I'm curious, the thing I've heard people really talking about is how they can feel everything with the braid. And I thought I might give it a shot. If you use it, drop me a comment and tell me what you think of it, and if you've learned any tricks along the way, because I'm totally new to it. It's actually the first time I've ever fished with it. I'm curious too, any of you braid fishermen out there, if you use braided line or have switched to it or tried it or whatever, what did you go with for a knot connecting your leader, and why? I was thinking double uni knot was probably what I would use, because I've used those before. A decent knot. I never was really great at tying them, and there's a couple of things I don't like about them. So a buddy of mine was telling me he fishes saltwater a lot, and he uses an FG knot, and boy, when I looked at it, I thought, boy, that is a complicated knot to tie. But after I tied it a couple times, I can see why guys like it. So that's what I'm using. I'm using an FG knot. It pulls really clean through the eyes. I can't see where I'm going to have that one come undone. So the FG knot is what I'm using. Drop me a comment and tell me what you found and what you've settled in on. Now this guy had it exactly right. Though he was coming straight for me, there's a fish. Though he was coming straight for me, when he saw I was fishing, he turned around, went 40 yards the other direction, so that he didn't make a whole bunch of wake, and he's gonna just kind of ease around and go where he's going without causing a whole lot of headache for anybody. That's how it ought to be done. Pretty crappie. You know what I forgot to do, folks? I get the master counter out here, just in case we approach a limit. Later that day, I switched jigs here to a little slider. I think they call it crappie slider. Bobby Garland bait, I think. Black and chartreuse, which is always a hot color for anything for me, but crappie in particular. Chartreuse is one I always do well on. But I also took the opportunity to, oh, there's one. That's a good one too. I took the opportunity, no, I don't think it is a good one. Well, he's okay, but not what I'm after. I will say that this braided line, what they tell you about the sensitivity is true. You feel everything. So if you're having trouble picking up hits and things like that, or you're fishing for something that hits pretty light like a crappie does, this time of year. Yeah, braid may help you with that. But what I was going to say, when I switched my jig out, I trimmed the leader as well. I think I started off using about, oh, I don't know, 9 or 10 foot, because I didn't want to be having to add all the time if I broke it off. But I switched it back to about 6.5 or 7 foot because I was getting up into my line guides when I was fishing close, and the whole point of it is to feel the hit on the braid. So I settled in on, I don't know, between 6 and 7 foot. Let me know if you found a magic number that works for you. Well, they're definitely fishing slower, but they're still in here. That's a little one. I think he's gonna go right back where he came from. I'm curious if anyone out there fishes any of these. This is a crappie slider. I think that's what they're called. It's a Bobby Garland bait. It's on a 32nd ounce jig head. I'm curious for anybody who's fished these, if you found a way that you like them. I haven't quite figured them out yet. They swim really nice. They've got a really good action to them, but my impression of them is they're probably better as a vertical bait. Like if you're vertical jigging and in deeper water and you're straight up and down. Although they do swim really nice, but I seem to get more strikes on them when I fish them straight up and down. Just curious if anybody's found the same thing. I'm sure you can't see it in the video, but right out here, right about where my line is, there's a ball of shad. And there is a school of crappie following them around. You can see them. You can see the shad swirling around and something chasing them. And it's a small school of crappie, but the shad are about, oh, I don't know, most of these are about 2 inches long, I would say, 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, something like that. So they're little ones. They're too small to catch in a cast net unless you have a 1/4 mesh one, and I don't have a small one like that. And so those are the kind of things you want to keep an eye on, because right now when the crappie are really slow, if you find some structure that has a bunch of shad swirling around it, odds are you're going to find a few fish. I broke my own rule tonight and I came out fishing on a Friday night, which I almost never do, but it's been that kind of week. And this is the reason that I don't, because all the jet skiers and tubers and everything else end up being out on Friday night. And we're going to try throwing a few crankbaits here. And we got into another one here. This one looks like it's a little bit better fish. Yeah. Woohoo! That's a real nice one. Really nice fish. That's the kind you want right there. I will take those every day of the week. And that, my friends, is a beautiful sunset. That is a nice way to cap off the day. Being on the water is just awesome. Anytime you get to do it, it is one of those things that's just always a blessing. get out and get on the water whenever you can. Excuse the noise of the weed eaters and the lawnmowers behind me, but it's Saturday morning, so people are at their thing. We made it back. Things did not work exactly as I imagined that they might. I was going to do a little bit of fishing, bass and maybe some catfish on towards the evening, and that just didn't work out. I ended up getting checked by the game wardens, which again, I'm glad for them. I'm glad they're out there. Had a good conversation. Couple of good officers. Don't have their names for you. I'd love to give them credit because they did a great job. But I ended up talking with them for a few minutes, and then ended up helping a couple folks with a broke down boat. So I didn't end up doing any more fishing. It was a quick trip, just a couple hours, and we finished up with I think there was 6 keepers in there. But I thought what we might do, since people always ask, I'm going to do a catch, clean, and cook. I'll show you how I do this. Let me just start off by saying this: if you're about to fire up the keyboard and tell me I did it wrong, you do it better, I don't do it well, whatever the case may be, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to ignore the comment. You can feel free to say whatever you want within reason. Nothing offensive. It will get you deleted. but I'm just going to show you what I do, and I'm also going to show you how I freeze and store things, because that's something I get asked quite a bit. I do quite a bit of crappie fishing, and I put up as many as I can, because I like to keep a bunch in the freezer. And you know, between the hunting and the fishing, I end up getting a lot of meat and end up with a lot of it frozen. So we'll have a look at that. Okay, let's try take 2 of this. When you're filming everything, it makes it about 10 times harder. I'm normally pretty good at this and pretty quick. When you do a limit of crappie, you just kind of bust them out, but I'm trying to get it on film and trying to make it look right too, so it takes me a little longer. So this is a kind of an average sized crappie, not a big one by any means, but they've been on ice overnight, and normally I don't do that. I usually do them fresh. But so you go in behind the front fin there, and you're going to kind of come up towards the head right behind the gill plate. So that's your first cut. We go like this, and then you're going to turn your knife over, and you're going to follow the backbone all the way down towards the bottom. Okay, so you cut out the rib cage. The rib cage sits right here, and you cut out that little flap of meat underneath, and you just cut it right off the backbone. And the next cut, you're taking it right off the skin, so you want to kind of lay into the knife a little bit so it flexes, and then you're just gonna, I don't know if you can see that or not, you're just gonna cut the rib cage out. And what I do is I cut this right off like that, and then you end up with that little flap of belly meat. On a big one, it'll be bigger than that. And then I take them straight from here, and I throw them right into a bowl of ice water like that, and they firm back up a little bit if you caught them when it was hot. This knife is the cheapest one that Walmart has to offer. I think I paid $14 for it. Something like that, so it's real cheap. It's not a really nice one, but I kind of prefer that to the spending a ton on it. So there's the one cut, and then we're going to flip them over. And you want to lay your knife down really nice and flat. Now the knife is pointing towards the head. That's how I start them. Don't go through the backbone. I cut down to the backbone there, and then we turn the knife around, and then lay your knife right flat against the backbone. I don't like to cut the tail off if I can help it. I almost did there. It doesn't really matter. And then you want to kind of go down to the skin and turn your knife flat again and flex it as you take the fillet off the skin. So what you end up with is a nice fillet here and the skin here. We'll set that aside and clean those up in a second. And we're going to flip them over, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to start up at the shoulder behind the gill plate and cut down, and then turn our knife around. Okay, keep your knife good and flat and right down to the backbone. That's key. And when you're first learning your electric fillet knife, it's better to get all the meat off the backbone than it is to get all the meat off the belly. There's more meat up there. So if you're gonna have your knife one way or the other, keep it towards the backbone but not through the backbone, I guess. So we took that fillet off of there. So we've got a nice fillet here, and we got the carcass and the skin right there. Okay, the next thing we've got to do is we got to take this rib cage out of here. So we're going to get, you can feel the tip of the rib cage right there. So you come down, this is where the backbone would lay, and then the rib cage is right there where you cut it off of the backbone. And you just go down and you cut through right there, and then there's a slab of meat here. You can, if you feel with your finger, you'll feel the bottom of the rib cage. And I just make kind of like a V cut there. And then you end up with a fillet that looks like that. You got the belly meat there, and you got the meat off of the backbone there. And then I just put it into that bowl of ice water, and we're going to take them in and rinse them up in a minute. Something my dad told me is make sure before you bring a piece of meat into the house that it looks like a piece of meat from the grocery store. And I think that's good advice for those of you who are married. If you want to continue fishing, that's good advice. So here's another fillet. I'm going to throw it in the ice water. Okay, so we got our fillets here. We just patted them dry, rinsed them and patted them dry. So we brought them straight in. I'm going to do something here. What you're trying to rinse off is your little, any little bits of skin and stuff like that. Anything left over from the cleaning process that you didn't want in there. We got them all cleaned up. And what I like to do, credit to John Godwin for this, of Duck Dynasty and crappie fishing royalty. I'll link to the video in here, but he called the video Quarantine Crappie, and I never thought to do this, but it's brilliant. You take a little mustard, just yellow mustard, and you mix your fillets in that. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can egg wash them. You can dip them in buttermilk. Some people like to do that. I like to do this, and sometimes just a little bit of egg, a beaten egg. But I'm out of eggs right now, so this is going to work just fine anyway. And then we take a little bit of Frank's Red Hot, and I like to do that. So between the mustard and the Red Hot, it gives them a little bit of zing. And I actually use today I'm going to use a premixed breading. You can make this yourself too pretty easily with just cornmeal. This is Louisiana brand. Zatarain's also makes a good one. And this is a breading bowl. It's just called the Better Breader, I think. We're just going to take fillets and just lay them in there. Let's see how we're looking here. Oh yeah, the grease's been heating here, so oh yeah, listen to them sizzle. And when I take them out, I usually just lay them on a little bit of paper towel or napkin or something there just to soak any excess grease out. That's all there is to it. It's just that easy. If you didn't grow up somewhere where they fry things, I feel bad for you, but it's a good way to do it right here. A little bit of tangy zip to it and a little bit of crunch. Very nice. Well, that's all we got for right now. Thanks for coming along with us. We did a catch, clean, and cook kind of unplanned, but glad you could come with me today. Look forward to doing it again next time. Get out there, catch a few fish, fry them up, and eat them. You won't be sorry you did. And take somebody fishing, somebody that doesn't know anything about this, and teach them the joys of being outdoors. The world needs more good, clean fun like that. So till next time, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again. Like this video, subscribe, it helps me out, and we'll look forward to doing it again soon. See you later.